We are looking forward our way from Studio C in the 511 Studios that's in the Brewery District just south of downtown Columbus, Ohio. Hi, this is Brett. How often have we attended our kids' sports events or neighbors' sports events or family sports events or driven a group from one field to another? Today's guest is going to tell us about a very special organization that supports those kids who may not have access to great sports experiences. Let's welcome Eric Rutkowski, Program Director for Leveling the Playing Field, Ohio. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me. Really excited for this.
This is something different for us. We've not ever had a sports-themed podcast, and Brett and I have been doing this for a long time. But we just found it really fascinating because so many of my peers are trying to downsize their house, and needless to say, they got lots of stuff in their garages, and hopefully some of that stuff may be coming your way. So we're really glad you're with us today to tell us about the organization. We're going to dive into leveling the playing field and the work, and about distributing sports equipment to local schools and organizations that don't have enough funding. But first, we want to hear about you. So tell us about your professional journey and how you connected with the organization.
Yeah, so I've been working in various nonprofits around Columbus for the last 7 or 8 years. I graduated from Denison University in Granville, Ohio in 2016. And I grew up right here in Columbus, playing sports in Worthington Youth Boosters and the YMCA and for my schools, and kind of saw how important that was to me, connecting and fitting in and meeting people and just teaching invaluable life lessons that I don't know where else I would have found those if I wasn't participating in youth sports and having that access and having that opportunity that I did have growing up. In working in these various stops throughout Columbus, I've worked at COSI, I've worked with City Year Columbus, I worked with most recently with an immigrant and refugee serving organization called ETSS. And throughout all these stops, I've been able to connect with different groups throughout Columbus. And through all of those, in some way, the way kids connect and interact, I've seen how sports and recreation can really be a catalyst for kids feeling involved, kids feeling included, kids being able to do something constructive that's healthy and teaching them how to be a kid and how to be involved. So I saw this job opening up in Columbus to kind of start this and launch this great work that was already being done in Columbus, and it just seemed like a perfect opportunity to put my background and the things I've been doing towards something that I'm really passionate about.
So Leveling the Playing Field is actually a national organization. It's got four locations on the East Coast, from D.C. to New York, now Ohio. A couple of things I wanted to ask. First, tell us how the organization began in the vision of the founder, Max Levitt, and why Columbus, Ohio? Why Ohio as well?
The organization started with, like you said, with Max Levitt a little over 10 years ago. Max was a equipment manager at Syracuse, and he saw how much equipment was going to waste, was just kind of laying around, not being used, or was being used one time and still had plenty of life in it. So he started collecting all that gear and giving it to schools and programs where it was needed. That turned out to be a pretty popular thing. And he kept finding more people with more gear and more stuff sitting around in storage sheds or in closets and more need. So he got a warehouse and set it up, kind of copied the food bank model or the furniture model, a model that's been proven throughout the country as something that works and helps tons of families and communities, and just kind of applied it to what he knew, and that was sports, and really gained a lot of success. That warehouse grew and grew until they were ready to expand close by to Baltimore, and he just kind of kept going from there.
Gotcha. Yeah, if there's any testament to that in regards to tons of sports stuff not being used. Walk into a youth sports place.
Oh yeah.
Oh my gosh. So I mean, if your locale does not have that type, what do you do with it?
Right.
You want people to use it. I mean, basketballs are in good shape, or hockey uniforms or whatever.
Well, how often do you wear out a baseball bat unless you break it?
That's true. Well, exactly. You either outgrow it,
right,
or it gets all beat up from hitting rocks.
Yeah.
If that's still the
Right.
thing, you know what I mean? But yeah, you're right. It just ends up being in a big plastic container because the kids have outgrown it. They just don't use it anymore.
Yeah, and there's pretty much everyone I talk to, everyone wants to find something good to do with this equipment. Any sports league or program that has all this equipment says, I want this to go to a good place. What ends up happening then, they start storing it somewhere that it's a lot of work to store all the stuff and then to match what you have to exactly what a program might need. So if you can collect all that from everyone, let those programs come to you, tell you what they need, and just have all of those resources in one spot, you can really find a perfect match for what those programs need. Someone like the Cleveland Browns might have 300 pair of cleats, but if you need 20 pairs of cleats, shoulder pads, pants, belts, all of that, then we can take all 300 of those cleats and then those various pieces from other groups and kind of perfectly match what a program might need.
So Eric, as Brett mentioned, tell us a little bit about how the organization was expanded into Ohio. I mean, coming from the East Coast to Ohio is kind of a big leap.
A few factors went into that. There are some great organizations in Columbus already doing work in youth sports. And then in 2021, the Aspen Institute did their Project Play analysis of Columbus, Ohio, their Project Play report that they do that just kind of analyzes the trends in youth sports in a community and then the actions that groups can take to address kind of these declining trends or trends of inequity in youth sports. So the Aspen Institute found that almost 3 million kids had dropped out of youth sports before the age of 12, even before the pandemic. And as we know, the pandemic has exacerbated a lot of issues, and it's really the most vulnerable in our community are impacted that much more. So you can imagine that has not gotten better just post-pandemic. The Project Play report analyzed Central Ohio, found why there's inequitable access to youth sports, why fewer and fewer kids are able to get involved in sports, and groups like the Columbus Foundation and the Lindy Infante Foundation that participated in this report and helped put this together looked to solve that issue based on the report. So they actually reached out to Leveling the Playing Field, saw the work we were doing. Stephanie Infante, who runs the Lindy Infante Foundation, invited us to look at Columbus, look at the impact that Leveling the Playing Field could have here. And those two groups and many more, but those two groups in particular helped to bring Leveling the Playing Field to Columbus.
Well, and we want to give a shout out to our friend Dan Sharp at the Columbus Foundation. He's one of my favorite people in the world. But the foundation does a phenomenal job with making sure our community has the resources that it needs through the nonprofit agencies. And I'm so glad that Dan was part of this and that it's been successful.
All right. So the impact Leveling the Playing Field has had in just a decade is pretty phenomenal. Give us some of the specifics on the number of organizations served, the amount of equipment distributed, and how many kids in each of these communities have been given a unique opportunity to now be able to play and thrive.
Yeah, so nationally, over the last 10 plus years, Leveling the Playing Field has been able to assist over 2,000 organizations and donate over $14 million worth of sports equipment. So that's kind of a mind-blowing number, which is why I wanted to get involved to begin with. A lot of that equipment is ending up in schools with physical education teachers, with coaches. A lot of the times the budget for sports equipment is very, very small, shockingly small. A lot of these programs that really want this top tier equipment or to let their kids try a new sport, that's coming out of that teacher's budget. That PE teacher, that coach, they're paying for all that themselves. If a PE teacher wants to introduce a new popular sport like lacrosse, that maybe they do have basketballs and soccer balls, but they can't let the kids try something that's gaining popularity because they might have to buy 80 lacrosse sticks and goals, and they don't have these items. So leveling the playing field is able to not only support the programs that already exist, but allow programs to support the start of programs in other schools and communities.
Eric, you brought up a really good point, and that is Ohio is a football state.
Right.
Everybody has a football team. They probably have a basketball team, probably softball, baseball. But there are a lot of sports and a lot of kids who want to do sports, and they either don't want to do football or maybe their family doesn't want them to be on that level of contact in a sport, but there are a lot of things they can do. I'm also just sitting here thinking of all of my friends who are playing pickleball, and in about 5 or 10 years, you're going to have a lot of pickleball rackets.
I'm excited. There. It's already started.
Exactly. See, and there are just other things that kids can do. The other thing that it's hitting me, we had a podcast yesterday with a guest, and we talked a lot about job seekers needing experience in leadership and teamwork. Well, this is the same thing, but we're taking these little kids and showing them how the advantage of teamwork or the advantage of looking at yourself and your own abilities and challenging yourself to be a better sports player. All of those kinds of things are really nurturing the kids. It's not to give them something to do. It really is helping them health-wise, mentally, emotionally connect and work with the people in their schools and their classmates.
Yeah, 100%. And that's something that we've seen a lot of people look at sports participation as just a hobby or a luxury and not really that important, but all of the skills that come along with it, all of the mental and physical health benefits, and really just a sense of community, a sense of belonging for any kid on the team. It's a really powerful thing, and it's something with everything going on. It's something consistent and something powerful for youth-based sports development is something that's a really strong positive factor in a lot of our young kids' lives.
And the fun part of this is, to our audience, you may only have one baseball bat and one basketball. But when all of this comes together, you're able to package it so that a whole team is taken care of, or an individual who needs a complete set of equipment so they can play tennis or golf or whatever it may be. But so don't think that donating one baseball bat is not important. You mentioned that nationally $14 million in equipment has been donated. Well, there's a whole lot of steps that come between getting a donation and giving out a donation. So tell me about your role and those who are doing the kinds of things you're doing in the other 4 locations, and how you make it all, come together.
Yeah, so each of our warehouses has a program director. Our other more established warehouses have a program associate, but it's a pretty small team at all the warehouses. But really, it's just reaching out, connecting with all of the groups that have resources and all of the groups that need resources. So reaching out to the professional sports teams in our market, like the Columbus Blue Jackets have been great partners. The Cleveland Browns, the Columbus Crew have all supported us in various ways, whether that's in-kind equipment donations or grants and financial contributions. And then there's like 4,000 universities in Ohio. I think I'm exaggerating a bit, but not quite, not so much.
It's probably pretty close.
It may be off by 10 or 20.
Right. Right. But connecting with the ADs and the sports directors at all of these universities, getting all of their, if they switch from Nike to Adidas, trying to grab that old gear or.
Good point.
I never thought about the branding aspect of it. Oh my gosh.
Well, and I mean, like, my school went from being a college to a university. They may have some old college stuff sitting around at Otterbein. So
well, so Skip and Chris over at Otterbein have already hooked us up a couple of times.
Cool.
Some great connections with the fine folks at Otterbein. They've been big supporters in a lot of different ways.
And you hear
far.
that Denison grad saying that too.
I know.
Yes,
I know.
Brett and I have a great rivalry going because I bring in Otterbein and Ohio State, and we only have one Miami contact.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. So, I'm the black sheep, apparently.
No.
Of Miami.
Of Miami.
So,
no, you know what? We need to start getting the Cincinnati folks up here.
Well, we could maybe. Yeah, we'll see.
yeah.
We'll see.
That would work.
Anyway.
And too, for Brett and our audience, after you and I initially talked about doing this podcast, I emailed folks. I have some friends who are elementary school principals and my high school, my alma mater, and just said, hey, would you please send this to the appropriate person in athletics and just tell them here's a place to put this stuff.
Yeah. So those groups are all super, super important. But really the way we get most of our equipment is really grassroots efforts. Running an LPF collection drive is probably where most of our equipment and the best equipment comes from. So it's a really great opportunity for a service learning project, a scouts project, a mitzvah project, any sort of these service projects that young people can do. They can set up a bin. We can help send a bunch of resources to support them, but they can set up in their community, reach out to their neighbors, their classmates, their family, their friends, and collect all that stuff that's sitting in people's basements and garages and all of that, and bring it into LPF. A lot of volunteer opportunities. Like I said, it's very small teams that work in these warehouses, so volunteer support is essential to what we do, and a lot of that comes from these grassroots community efforts from students and from corporate groups that volunteer to run a collection drive.
Well, and we should probably do a shout out for our friends at BESA.
Yes.
They were working with you this week that we are actually taping this podcast, and BESA's been with us on this podcast. So thanks to Matthew and his team, and hopefully that all goes well.
Yes. Yeah, they're incredible over there. The way they rally community volunteers is something really special, and just a really a highlight of the Columbus community. It's a very giving community, and groups support each other. So it's cool to have groups like that.
So I'm going to ask another rivalry question. So have you've only been open how long now?
Technically, we just passed a year.
Okay. So it may be too soon to ask this question, but I'm guessing that the Columbus community has been record breakers in supporting this effort compared to those folks on the East Coast. What do you think?
Yeah, I wouldn't doubt it. Or let's say the potential is there, if not nothing else.
The potential is definitely there.
It's just getting the word out and the exposure.
There are some my counterparts running those East Coast warehouses are some pretty remarkable people. So I know Philadelphia, Baltimore, both collected and distributed over $1 million of sports gear just in 1 year last year.
You tell Max when we hit our million in a lot less time.
That's the plan.
We want him to come to Columbus and come and podcast with us.
Yeah, but I've felt it. I feel like each week there's more and more momentum with this thing. The more people that hear about us, the more podcasts I hop onto, the
There you go.
people are finding out about it, and that's the thing too. It's something that people want to support. It's something that people care about, and it's just giving an opportunity to do that.
Great.
Yeah. So the process of receiving donations of the sports equipment and then redistributing the items to local organizations sounds like it's got a lot of moving parts. And so we did talk about the drives in regards to how items can be donated, but can you give us an overview of what sports equipment you are looking for? If it's outside of a drive, how it can be donated, and then how do you prep it for distribution?
Yeah. So outside of the collection drives, we have big metal donation collection bins that we set up. They're kind of like the yellow clothing collection bins. We try to keep them looking shiny and nice. And
tell us where those are so that people will know.
Yeah. So we have currently, our very first one went up at a place called Locker Soccer Academy in Powell. So shout out to Steve Locker bringing us on. I think that was maybe day 2 of me on the job. I was going to visit Steve, and we were setting up that bin at Locker Soccer Academy. And then just in the past couple months, we were able to put up 4 co-branded Dick's Sporting Goods bins through the Sports Matter Foundation with Dick's Sporting Goods. So the Easton, Dublin, Polaris, and Grove City Dick's Sporting Goods all have metal collection bins outside. You can drive up, throw in a bat or a helmet or whatever you have. If you walk into Dick's to buy a brand new bat, you can throw the old one in. Those are just really great ways at any time of the day to drive by and throw in some gear. I'm also at the warehouse most days, so you can also drop off directly at the warehouse. I'm happy to give anybody a tour around to kind of see what we're doing. It kind of really paints the picture when you're able to see the warehouse and walk through of, oh, this is what's going on here.
And where's located, the warehouse?
It's in Northland, so North Columbus. We're right by the indoor skating rink. I forget what it's called nowadays, but I think Skate Zone.
Is that the old chiller?
It was WOW Family Fun Center back in my day, but
what streets are we talking about?
Off Morse Road.
Okay.
Off Morse Road, just north of Columbus.
And audience, we're going to have our resource list again on our website, so we'll have all the information and Eric's contact information too. If you'd like to stop in and drop stuff off or get a tour.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And we are expecting to expand that bin network quite a bit in the next month or so here. We have 5 Columbus Blue Jackets bins coming online through a partnership with the CBJ Foundation that'll go outside of some of the chiller locations and the YMCA in Powell. And then we have 3 Major League Soccer Players Association bins coming online with some partners like Ohio Premier Soccer, Final Third Foundation, and Resolute Athletic Club.
So we want to put a challenge out to any other big major or minor sports teams in town to you want yours. You want a bin with your name on it too.
So the process for teams and schools receiving the equipment that we've collected is pretty straightforward. We have a grant application on our website at levelingtheplayingfield.org. It's in the top right corner. You just hit apply for equipment. And then any of those programs with a youth sports component, it can be competitive sports or it can just be free play or sports sampling. It doesn't have to be a travel league. It can just be something that gives kids the opportunity to participate in sports. They can apply on our website, and then I will either give them a site call or a site visit just to start building that relationship with them, see what they really need, and then I'll invite them out to the warehouse. So the other cool thing is these teachers, program directors, coaches, they can come into the warehouse and self-select exactly what's going to work best for their program. So they can grab a cart, grab a clipboard, and essentially go shopping free of charge for whatever they need to support their program. that grant application also, once we approve that grant application is good for life. So we want to be a sustainable support for these programs. So next season, if they have more needs or more kids, they can come back. If they see something that we have and go, oh, maybe we want to start a tennis program, maybe we want to try lacrosse, they can find the coach or figure out how they want to schedule that and come in and get that gear to start up their program. So we really want to be a great sustainable partner for these programs that come through.
So everybody who's doing a garage sale this summer, fall, and before the winter comes, and you've got sports equipment and nobody wants it, we know where it can go.
Yeah, absolutely.
Leveling the playing field will take it. So if I wanted to have a drive, what would you suggest I do? So I live near Westerville, and I don't have any sports equipment myself, but I just want to have an opportunity to let people. Do I put it on my front yard? What would you suggest that somebody does that to make it happen?
Yeah, so really, we've seen it everywhere. Kids will set it up at their school gyms, or families will set it up on their garage or their porch and let people know when's a good time to stop by. Or I've seen groups contact a local bar or another facility that, hey, I would like to run this drive. Do you guys want to help host the box? And then I have all sorts of like bin labels and flyers and sample stuff that I can send out to people to help make it easy. And really the success of it depends on just how much you put the word out. You post on your Facebook or your Instagram, or send a message in the group text, or in an email to some friends or families or neighbors. And really, yeah, it can be done anyway, or collections can be done just about anywhere. You can also just kind of rally, since we do have those permanent collection bins or the warehouse. You can just kind of put the word out, like Dr. Carroll, how I found out about this podcast was you had put the word out and someone showed up at the warehouse with a truck full of gear to donate. So, just putting out the word in any way helps. But if you have the capacity to kind of run a drive, you can be pretty creative with how you do that.
Wonderful. Thank you.
What types of sports do you look for? I mean, does it run the gamut in regards to if it has a ball, it has cleats? Could you, and maybe even give examples of like, well, you never thought about this, but we could take this.
Yeah, so all the classic stuff you would imagine, sure. But we've gotten some niche stuff. We've gotten and a lot of stuff can be taken by those PE teachers that are able to kind of, or after school programs that are able to introduce different sports to kids. So I've gotten sets of bowling pins and bowling balls that teachers have been able to introduce bowling in gym class. I've gotten fencing gear, boxing
like the weighted bag
boxing gloves and boxing bags,
and the weighted bag, too.
Yeah, so it's something you can teach kids the sport, or if you're running an after-school program and you need a kid to direct his energy more in a more positive way, maybe give him some protective gloves and let him hit a punching bag instead
the crap out of a bag,
maybe a pier.
Right. Well, and think about skates. A kid could learn to skate, or they could learn to do hockey, or lots can come.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
So Eric, there's lots of work and tasks on your head to complete. And you had mentioned you're looking for volunteers, and Bessa has come out and is helping. But tell us about not just the critical role that volunteers play, but what are you looking for in a volunteer? How and then how does somebody become a volunteer?
We've had volunteers of all ages, from 9 to much older than 9, and we have tasks for everyone, whether it's helping make labels and clean up the warehouse, or primarily just sorting and inventorying all of this incoming equipment that we get. I finally got a little support in my summer intern, Sid. Shout out to Sid. And that's helped to double our capacity. But really, as we collect more and more equipment, we rely on volunteer support to help us sort and inventory all that gear that's coming into the warehouse. So there are signups to just kind of drop in on our website if you want to volunteer as if you're a team or your kid's on a team and they might need service learning hours or want to volunteer as a group activity. If you're a corporate group looking to do a kind of a employee give back event or just a team building event, there's opportunities for groups of all sizes, whether that's 1 or 2 people for an hour or a group of 25 people for a couple hours coming in to help get the warehouse together, sort all that gear for the programs that we're then going to serve.
Wonderful. Okay.
Yeah. Are there any plans for new programs or further expansion of leveling the playing field here in Ohio, maybe nationally?
So in regards to Ohio specifically, leveling the playing field, if you look at our 5 warehouses, you'll notice that we are very intentionally leveling the playing field Ohio and not leveling the playing field Columbus, whereas our other warehouses have a city involved in their moniker. We're obviously starting right here in our backyard in Columbus, but we're really trying to support Cleveland and Cincinnati and Toledo and Dayton and everything in between here in Ohio. So like you mentioned earlier, this is the first Midwest warehouse. We're really kind of far away from some of our other warehouses, and we're really trying to be a support for Ohio communities. So just in regards to LPF Ohio, we've been making strides in Cincinnati and Cleveland, connecting to supporters like the Cleveland Browns, or distributing to groups like the Boys and Girls Club up in Massillon, or groups down in Cincinnati. So I'm working to try to connect all of that. And the only questions I've gotten from some groups is if you are a group in Cleveland and you're donating equipment, you want it to support groups in Cleveland. That's the question I get asked the most. And I guess my answer to that is we have a general inventory here in Columbus, and I'm working hard to ensure that Cleveland programs, Cincinnati programs, wherever the need is, those programs know about us here in Columbus. And beyond that, it's fair game to any of those programs to come down to Columbus and grab gear. So if while your specific bat from Cleveland might not end up in Cleveland, a load of stuff from the RPAC in Columbus might be getting sent up there to Massillon. So really, it's all working to support Ohio youth sports in general.
So we've talked about how people can support leveling the playing field as a volunteer. Needless to say, there are a whole lot of ways that you could probably use support. What is your wish list? What would you like our audience to try to help besides giving you equipment, besides being a volunteer? I'm guessing donations would really help.
Yeah, so unrestricted funds are huge to help us accomplish our goals here in Columbus. We're in a shared space right now in a space called Elevate Northland with some other nonprofits. And that's a tremendous space, but ultimately we would like to be able to get our own independent warehouse so we can fully operate how we would like to and reach the full capacity that we think we're very well capable of here in Columbus. It also,
so if anybody's got a building they want to give away,
yeah, that works.
Let's see if we can pull that off.
We also we want to ensure that all of this gear that comes in, we're able to give out to these programs and keep all of our donations completely free. So the rent of our warehouse, or the cost of our shelving, or increasing our staffing, getting a van so I can stop shoving stuff in my Honda CRV, which is getting smaller and smaller by the day, it seems. All of $5-10 here or there from different community members vastly contributes to letting this program continue to grow here in Columbus. The buy-in from the community, as far as donations and as far as partnerships, is definitely there. And I'm always, as anybody in nonprofit knows, I'm always trying to see where more funds can come to support the work that we're doing.
Right. Great.
Yeah. Well, we always ask our guests if they have any last words of wisdom that they'd like to add. Do you have any other suggestions or advice to our listeners today? I think we covered a lot of ground, but it's that opportunity to kind of go, remember this.
Yeah, I think that I feel really passionately about what Leveling the Playing Field is doing here in Columbus. It speaks to me, and I've found something that I'm really excited to do the fun parts and all the hard work that comes with this. We've mentioned a lot of partner nonprofits, other nonprofits in the Columbus community that are doing great work. And there's a way to volunteer, to give your time, resources, money, etc. to any of these programs in Columbus. I know everyone is busy and it seems like we don't have time, but volunteering for any of these organizations that speak to you and what you're passionate about, I don't think it'll ever feel like a waste of time. I find it very replenishing, refreshing to give your time in that way. And I think just look around, look at who the Columbus Foundation is supporting, look at the Human Services Chamber in Columbus, find one of these nonprofits that's doing something that speaks to what you're passionate about and where you want to see the Columbus community going, and give an hour or two, give $5, see what it's all about.
Eric, thank you so much for coming and joining us today. This has been fun. It's, sometimes we get our topics are a little heavy and difficult, but this one has been fun and we really appreciate it. And audience, school's going to be starting, and we want to make sure that these kids have some stuff that they need to participate in local sports. So thank you again to Eric Rutkowski, who is the program director for Leveling the Playing Field, Ohio, for joining us today. And listeners, thank you for joining us. Don't forget, you'll find the contact information and resources that we've discussed today on our podcast show notes on our website, lookingforwardourway.com. And we're looking forward to hearing your feedback on this or any of our podcast episodes.